Hello, my name is Sarah Call and I'm the Academic Success and Retention Specialist here at Upper Iowa University. Today we'll be talking about time management, so let's get started. So the first thing I kind of want to discuss here is the differences between high school and college. So in terms of time, high school was essentially a full-time job. You were in classes maybe about 35 hours a week. Your teachers back then probably also gave you class time for homework. Your schedule is often constructed by others. Maybe you got a choice in like an elective, but that was it. And there were shorter lectures, right? Because they had to fit in so many subjects in a day that mirrored the reading assignments. On the other side of that, we have college. So in college, you'll spend maybe about 15 hours a week, depending on your credit load. For some people, maybe they're in 12 credits, maybe they're in 18 credits. That kind of then we see down here, student sets their own schedule determined by you. Oftentimes in college, you will have little time for classwork. So it depends on the instructor. Most of the time you won't. And lectures in college are extended. So you probably see by now that some of your courses will be an hour and a half, some 2 hours. And these lectures supplement outside reading and assignments. So they don't replace or duplicate. So you have to read and you have to attend lectures to get the full picture of the material. So kind of in thinking about time management, I have broken apart life essentially into 3 different categories. So you have your social needs, which are your friends, your family, maybe your roommates. There's the self-care aspect. So that's sleeping, exercising, eating, taking care of your mental health. And then there's leisure, which are, hobbies, television, whatever you consider to be fun that isn't the other 2 categories. So when you're thinking about those, not everyone will have the same needs when it comes to socializing, self-care, and leisure. Decide what you need to thrive and go from there. So the first activity I have, and I have a supplementary worksheet also shared, hopefully with this presentation, is this pie chart that you can create. So you basically divide up your time in segments and seeing how much of your day, which is represented by the pie chart, is taken up by certain activities. So make sure you're including things like your class time, your studying, sleep, exercise, etc. And then once you've filled out that pie chart, see kind of, well, what wiggle room do you have? Where are your empty, like you have nothing going on hours? This is just a good idea, or like a good, if you're a visual person, thing to look at to help determine where your time is going. Because again, each person's different, and some people work well with pie charts, and then some people may work better with this time management worksheet I have here. So on this sheet, there you have, for example, over here, you're breaking down your hours per week on, how many hours a week are you in class? How many hours a week are you at work? How many hours a week are you sleeping? It even has down here this wasted hours category. So maybe, okay, how many hours did you spend on, TikTok or Facebook this week? This worksheet would also include sort of what are your priorities? Maybe your number 1 priority right now is school. And so asking down here, how do your priorities match up with how you spend your time each week? So if you say your top priority is school, but you're spending majority of your time not on school things, maybe it's important to look at your priorities and see if those have to adjust, or if maybe how you are spending your time in relation to your priorities needs to be adjusted. So time management can seem very structured and restrictive, but in reality, having a plan and a consistent routine will help you stress-wise. A few minutes of planning each week can make a real difference in how your study time is organized and spent. One thing you can do is create a master syllabus within the first week of class, and we'll kind of talk about that in a minute. So here we have another kind of worksheet thing. If the pie chart doesn't do it for you, this one just breaks down your entire week from midnight to 11 p.m. Blocking off, like say you go to bed at midnight and you wake up at 8 a.m. You'd want to block that off and maybe label it sleep or color code it, whatever you want to do there. And so I've included that also with this presentation. So when you're kind of creating a plan, you'll want to work long range and move to short range. So for example, the first thing you want to do is create a master term syllabus. So get yourself a calendar. So it could be like one of those wall calendars, or just there's some print offs. If you Google, say October 2021 images, it'll give you a calendar. One thing you can do there is then take all your syllabi from your courses and then write due dates, test dates, etc. for all your courses in the semester or session. Then from there, you'll want to create a week-by-week plan. So that can include, okay, this week, this is what's happening. I have to read these chapters. I have to, do these things for the school things, the sports things, whatever the things are that you're doing, I suppose. And then lastly, just kind of preparing a daily to-do list. So maybe you looked at your dipstick in your car and you went, oh, I need to get an oil change today. And so just add that to your daily to-do list. You wouldn't necessarily put that on your master syllabi. So we have an example here of the master syllabus that might help clarify some things. So this person, for example, they've color coded their subjects. We can see blue is biology, green is English, and red is wellness. And then down here, they've used that color coding and mapped out kind of, what they're doing, what might be due when. So down here on August 22nd, they're reading chapter 1 for their English class. Or August 30th, they have a presentation in their wellness class. So they've kind of taken those classes and written down everything that they need to be doing or have to do. And then so one thing you want to do is like highlight when those assignments are complete or check them off, or that way you've completed them instead of keeping that information in your head. So the weekly to-do list, right? So if you are on Fayette campus, I have copies of these. If not, I've also included these, but it's just taking your week, kind of like what we saw earlier, mapping out kind of what you're doing when or what to do when. So first, block off all your fixed commitments. So those can be sleeping, eating, class, practice. If you work, that can also qualify as a fixed commitment. So block those off. Next, highlight your available study times. So keep studying to 45 to 60-minute chunks of time. That's a little bit determined by you and your comfort level. Maybe you can only do a half hour at a time and need a break. That's okay. Still go ahead and highlight it. And then lastly, once you've, taken care of some of the important things, add in your extra tasks. Maybe these are hobbies. Maybe you're going to go get ice cream with your friends on Friday. Block that off as well. And then this little worksheet has like these little boxes here that you can check off when you've completed all your tasks in a day. So with any system of sort of time management that you decide to implement, make sure you are evaluating yourself and how it went, right? Because you don't want to keep doing something that isn't working. That's the definition of insanity, when you try to keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So in your evaluation, how much time did you spend studying? Was that your goal? Did you meet that goal? Were there any tasks that you didn't complete? And how much additional time did you need? So did you, maybe block off 2 hours for a paper, but then ended up needing 4? Okay, so how can we adjust the next time we have a paper we have to work on? And then, were there any tasks that you hurried through and didn't complete to the best of your ability? So again, did you allocate enough time? And then from there, just make adjustments accordingly. Nothing is written in stone. You can change the way you do things and the way you are at any point. So feel free to do that. If paper doesn't work for you, try your planner. If your planner doesn't work, try maybe a digital option. Keep trying until you find something that works for you. So an example of a weekly to-do list, for example, yeah, lots of examples. Keep your list specific and break down larger tasks into smaller tasks. So kind of like with the goal setting workshop, taking that bigger item and breaking it down into manageable pieces. Impose your own deadlines for step to longer range projects. So say you have a 20-page paper due next month. This person here is taking it a step further by saying, by Tuesday, I'll have an outline for my paper done, and by Thursday, I'll have written the first 2 pages. So that's not a deadline that anybody else has imposed on them. It is something that they are doing, knowing that that will help them be successful in getting that 20-page paper done on time and done well. So make sure when you're writing your list, your items should be realistic. You may not be able to write a 20-page paper in 2 days. Don't do it. It is awful. Make sure you are planning accordingly. So maybe you count backward from the day that the paper is due and you divide it up from there, but keep it realistic to what you know you can do. So this little worksheet here, we have that they have their overall weekly goals, and then they have a list of things that they need to do. And then over here, we have it that they've checked off the things that they have completed. So they finished their art project, they got their oil change, and they studied for their math quiz. So the next thing we're going to talk about, which is very important with time management, is this concept of procrastination. So procrastination is basically when you put off doing something. And so how do we overcome procrastination? That's a topic up for debate. What are the reasons people procrastinate? I like to believe that there's a few different reasons. It's not just laziness or, oh, this person, whatever mean, awful thing you can say. Sometimes people procrastinate because they're anxious about the thing that they have to do and they don't want to mess it up. Perfectionism can cause procrastination, believe it or not. And so then also just asking yourself, are you a procrastinator? And so over here, I have a self-test. If you want to pause this video and maybe do it right now, you can. But, from there, using this to determine, okay, now that I know this, what do I do with this information? So just some general tips to get the most out of your studying. You'll want to keep studying to maybe 45 to 60-minute chunks at a time. Again, that's a little bit determined by you. Make sure you're taking breaks when you're studying. And switch up your subjects that you're studying every once in a while. If you try to spend like 3 hours on a subject, you might not be able to maintain focus. But if it helps you to kind of keep like, okay, this hour I'm going to focus on science. Next, I'm going to do English after my break. Again, that's one of those things that you need to determine what will work best for you. And if it don't work, keep trying. And then make sure you're rewarding yourself. So maybe it's okay, I'm going to study, for 2 hours, but during my break, I'm going to go get coffee. Also work ahead. So don't wait until the last minute to study or do your homework. Time management is meant to help you avoid that stress. So time management, lastly, will increase your productivity, reduce your stress, improve your self-esteem, right? Because you're outlining what you're going to do, and then you're doing it. And so that a sense of achievement will fuel your self-esteem. You'll achieve a sense of balance, right? Because you have sort of those areas of your life that you need to have under control. And it's an important career skill. I like to say that college is a good time to make mistakes, right? But, when you're working a career job outside of school, you show up late or you fail to complete a project on time, there are some severe ramifications there. So lastly, what is one way you will commit to making better use of your time?